For the past few years, the winter season has proved to be a good breeding ground for Anime of the Year contenders. Whether we're talking about Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid last year, or Konosuba in a race in 2016, the winter season has always delivered a few heavy hitters, and this year is no exception. With The Ancient Mage's Bride finishing out and Violet Evergarden gearing up, a new standard of film caliber TV anime, we're now holding the torch for us anime fans as the decade starts to wrap up. Both of these shows are absolutely gorgeous, and they have voice acting and music scores to match. With a new gold standard set so early in the year, let's go ahead and take a look at one of these shows, Violet Evergarden. First debuted with a jaw-dropping PV back in May of 2016, the first episode dropped at Anime Expo in June of 2017, with episodes 2 and 3 being shown at select conventions and theaters in October and December of the same year respectively. On January 11th, we finally got the formal release of episode 1 on Japanese TV and later on Netflix in the US. With so much prep time, Kyoto Animation spared no expense with this anime, and it shows. The first few episodes and every subsequent episode thereafter raised the bar of what is expected from a top-tier animation studio. While some bemoan the overuse of digital effects and field of focus, I find their employment in this anime to be striking in all the right ways. With the likes of Makoto Shinkai of Garden of Words and Your Name fame coming to the forefront of the anime world, we should expect digital effects and backgrounds to take center stage in this and the following decade of anime. To put it simply, I for one welcome our new digital effects overlords. Onto the anime itself, Violet Evergarden starts off with our titular main character Violet being awoken after the events of a climactic battle at the tail end of a continental war at the turn of the 20th century. Yeah, if you know me, this has already piqued my interest. I'm a sucker for that turn of the 20th century aesthetic, but I'm going to keep myself as unbiased as possible in this, so bear with me. Violet wakes and is consumed by the final words she heard from her handler, Major Gilbert Bougainville. In a quest to find out what he meant in that last moment they shared, she finds employment in the company a colleague of his founded, the Auto Memory Doll Service, essentially a ghostwriting service for the illiterate and those who are not accustomed to writing out important documents. Whether you're writing a resume or a love letter, the Auto Memory Doll Service can help you construct a perfectly worded letter to get your point across. Violet joins despite being illiterate herself and being born and molded into an emotionless killing machine to fight a war that has long since passed over. She, however, takes to her new task with gusto, learns the language, learns how to type with her full metal saber arms, and through several episodes of trial and error, she also learns the intricacies of human emotion. What transpires throughout the middle stretch is a well-earned succession of emotional crits that hit harder and harder after each successive episode until we hit a crescendo in episode 9. We tackle everything from thanking someone for always being there for them to coping with the loss of loved ones. And if you don't tear up at some of these bits, then you just don't have a soul. You might think, like I did, that the big drop at the end of episode 9 is the end of the series, but no. We continue the show following Violet on her service calls well after the apparent end of the anime. It might seem like we're dragging the show on for too long, but the subsequent episodes deserve their runtime. Violet Evergarden never lets go of your heartstrings after episode 9, and that stretch of the final 5 episodes is about as hard to get through as any anime I have ever watched. It is an emotionally draining experience, and if you're not ready for it, it can make you just want to take up drinking, crawl into a corner, and just die. It gets that gut-wrenching in some places. While the penultimate episode has some out-of-character, over-the-top action bits, it serves as a fairly decent end cap to the series as Violet learns to cope with loss. Reviews thus far are pretty hypercritical of the show, as to be expected for an anime that had hype running behind it for a year and a half before release. But some of these criticisms are honestly just pretty damn ridiculous. Had this show been made by any other studio without this kind of hype behind it, it would easily be touted as an anime of the year. I've never had a problem with digital effects, and I find the art and direction of Violet Evergarden to be simply stunning and well above anything else currently airing. I absolutely love it. That is not to say, however, that I do not have criticisms of this show. I find the action bits in episode 12 and in some of the flashbacks earlier on to be a bit wonky compared to how fluid everything else looks in the show. You can tell where KyoAni wanted to put their emphasis. They used their animation budget and skills for emotional hits rather than mindless action sequences. I wish they could have put the same level of TLC in for both, but whatever, it's fine by me. The sort of false end at episode 9 left me feeling uncertain as to how this show would conclude. While it did eventually deliver, that feeling of uncertainty clouded my feelings of the show at the time, and that really can't be overlooked. At the end of the day, Violet Evergarden is pretty damn close to a masterpiece. I mean, it was basically tailor-made to be that. If there was ever such a thing as anime Oscar bait, this is it. A disabled war veteran joining the postal service to find out what love is, yeah, that's definitely Oscar bait. But at the end of the day, this anime does stand up on its own merits. Despite the high level of criticism that comes with being a KyoAni project and being marketed for so long as the second coming of Christ, most people seem to like what they got, and I'm definitely in that camp. This show hit me so hard in the feels and so often I found it hard to hit the next episode button on more than one occasion. And I'm sure you're going to feel the same way once you sit down for this trip, and that's what this is, a trip. Buckle up, pop a brewski, try not to cry, and cry a lot. That's Violet Evergarden, my dudes. It's a pretty damn good anime and well deserving of its Anime of the Year talk. Peace, and I'll see you next time.